The night sky above Earth looked peaceful, but something was watching from beyond the stars. Deep in space, on a massive ship floating near Jupiter's moons, alien commanders were having a very serious meeting. Zara sat perfectly still in the war room, her silver skin shimmering under the blue lights. She was the best hunter her people had ever trained. For over 200 years, she had never failed a mission. Her people, the Colothians, were known across the galaxy for being the most skilled trackers and fighters. Tonight, they had a new job for her. The head commander stood up, his voice echoing in the metal room. "Zara, we have a problem on the third planet from that yellow star. The humans call it Earth." Zara's bright purple eyes focused on the hologram that appeared in front of them. It showed a man with dark hair and tired eyes sitting at a computer in what looked like a small apartment. He was typing something, completely unaware that aliens were watching him from space. "This human has something that belongs to us," the commander continued. "3 months ago, one of our ships crashed in their desert. Before our pilot died, he gave a piece of our technology to this human. We call it the neural link device." Zara studied the human on the screen. He looked ordinary enough, but she knew that ordinary humans didn't usually steal alien technology. "What does this device do?" she asked. "It makes the mind work faster and stronger. It can read thoughts from far away and see things before they happen. Our pilot was supposed to destroy it, but instead, he gave it to this human. Now the human is using it to tell other humans about us." The hologram changed to show newspaper articles and websites. All of them had headlines about government secrets and hidden alien visitors. The human had been busy, exposing things that were supposed to stay hidden forever. "His name is David Chen," the commander said. "He used to work for the human military, but now he writes stories that make trouble. He's telling the world that we exist, and some humans are starting to believe him. This cannot continue." Zara nodded slowly. She understood the mission without being told exactly what to do. For thousands of years, her people had kept their existence secret from humans. There were good reasons for this. Humans were still young and aggressive. They fought wars over small pieces of land and couldn't even work together to save their own planet. If they knew about alien technology, they might use it to hurt each other even more. "The device is bonded to his brain now," the commander explained. "We cannot simply take it back. The human and the device must both be dealt with. Do you understand?" "Yes, Commander," Zara replied. She had done missions like this before on other worlds. Sometimes, when primitive species found technology they weren't ready for, the Galactic Council decided it was better to remove the problem quietly. It wasn't personal. It was just necessary. But as Zara looked at the human on the screen, something felt different. David Chen wasn't using the alien technology to hurt people or make himself rich. Instead, he seemed to be trying to warn other humans about something. In his articles, he wrote about preparing for contact with alien visitors. He talked about unity and working together. "There's more," the commander said, noticing her thoughtful expression. "Our intelligence shows that hostile alien forces are planning to invade Earth within the next year. This human's writings might cause panic and chaos when that happens. Humans who are scared and confused will be easier for our enemies to control." Now Zara understood why this mission was so important. There were bad aliens out there who wanted to take over planets and use the people living on them as slaves. Earth was rich in resources and had billions of humans who could be put to work. If David Chen's warnings caused fear and riots, it would make the invasion much easier. "I'll leave immediately," Zara said, standing up from her chair. Her body was tall and elegant, built for speed and strength. Like all Colothians, she could change the color of her skin to blend in with different environments. On Earth, she would look just like a human woman. The commander handed her a small silver disc. "This contains everything we know about the human and his planet. Study it carefully. Earth is very different from other worlds you've visited. The gravity is lighter, the air is thicker, and the humans have strange customs. Zara took the disc and placed it against her forehead. Information flowed into her mind like water filling a cup. She learned about human cities, their languages, their food, and their behaviors. She saw images of their art, their music, and their ways of showing emotion. It was fascinating and confusing at the same time. Humans seemed to care deeply about things that didn't help them survive. They kept small animals as companions, even though the animals served no useful purpose. They created beautiful paintings and songs that had no practical value. They risked their lives to save strangers they had never met before. For a logical species like the Colothians, these behaviors seemed wasteful and weak. But as more information filled her mind, Zara began to see patterns. Humans were social creatures who lived in groups and took care of each other. They felt strong emotions like love, anger, sadness, and joy. These emotions made them do things that seemed illogical, but they also made them incredibly determined and creative. "Your ship is ready," the commander announced. "Remember, this mission must be completed quietly. No other humans can know what happened. Make it look like an accident." Zara walked through the corridors of the mothership toward the small, fast vessel that would take her to Earth. Other Colothians stopped their work to watch her pass. Everyone knew about her reputation. She was called the Silent Shadow because her targets never saw her coming. But as she settled into the pilot's seat and started the engines, Zara felt something she had never experienced before a mission. It took her a moment to recognize the feeling, since Colothians rarely experienced it. She was curious. David Chen was not like the other targets she had been sent to find. Most of them were criminals or threats who used stolen technology for selfish reasons. But this human seemed to be trying to help his own species prepare for danger. He was risking his safety to warn others about things they needed to know. The small ship shot away from the mothership and headed toward the blue and white planet hanging in the darkness. Earth looked beautiful from space, with its swirling clouds and vast oceans. Zara had visited many worlds, but few were as colorful and alive as this one. As she got closer to Earth's atmosphere, her ship's sensors detected the planet's electromagnetic field. It was much stronger and more chaotic than the data had suggested. This would make her usual tracking methods less reliable. She would need to stay closer to her target than normal, which meant more chances for things to go wrong. The ship's computer guided her to a landing spot in a forest outside of Seattle, where David Chen lived. As she stepped out onto the soft Earth soil, Zara felt the planet's strange energy flowing around her. Everything here felt more intense somehow. The colors were brighter, the smells were stronger, and even the air seemed to buzz with invisible life. She activated her skin's camouflage system, and her silver appearance melted away. Now she looked like a tall human woman with dark hair and brown eyes. Her alien strength and speed were hidden beneath this ordinary appearance. Walking through the forest toward the city, Zara reviewed her mission one more time. Find David Chen, retrieve the neural link device, and make sure he could never reveal alien secrets again. It should be simple and quick. But as the lights of Seattle appeared in the distance, something deep inside her mind whispered that this mission would be different from all the others. She didn't know why she felt this way, and she pushed the strange thought aside. She was Zara, the Silent Shadow, the hunter who never failed. What she didn't know was that the neural link device had already begun to change everything. 3 months had passed since Zara arrived on Earth, and she was beginning to understand why this mission was so different from all her others. David Chen was not like any target she had ever hunted before. Every morning, she watched him from across the street as he left his small apartment building. He always carried the same worn leather bag and stopped at the same coffee shop. The woman behind the counter knew his order by heart and always smiled when she saw him coming. David would leave a tip that was bigger than necessary and ask about her son who was sick. These small acts of kindness confused Zara. On her home planet, resources were shared efficiently through logical systems. There was no need for extra gestures or emotional connections with strangers, but humans seemed to do these things naturally, without expecting anything in return. The first time she tried to capture David, it should have been easy. He was walking, alone through a parking garage late at night, after working on another story about government secrets. Zara had studied his patterns for weeks. She knew exactly where he would be and when. She moved silently through the shadows, her enhanced speed allowing her to close the distance in seconds. But just as she reached for him, David suddenly turned around and looked directly at her hiding spot. His eyes were wide with alarm, as if he had heard something she hadn't made any sound. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. Zara pressed herself against a pillar, perfectly still. Her camouflage technology made her nearly invisible, but somehow David seemed to sense exactly where she was standing. After a few tense moments, he hurried to his car and drove away quickly. That night, Zara reviewed what had happened over and over. There was no logical explanation for how he had detected her presence. Unless... She began to wonder if the neural link device was affecting him in ways the Colothian scientists hadn't predicted. The second attempt was even more puzzling. Zara had tracked David to a small restaurant where he was meeting with someone who claimed to have information about alien technology. She planned to wait until he left, then follow him to a quiet location. But halfway through his meal, David suddenly stood up and walked straight to the back exit, leaving his food and his contact behind. When Zara checked the area later, she found that construction workers had been about to test explosives in a nearby building. David had left exactly 3 minutes before the loud blasts began. How could he have known that was going to happen? The third attempt taught Zara something that made her mission much more complicated. She had cornered David in an alley behind his office building, finally ready to complete her task. Her hand was reaching for the weapon hidden in her jacket, when she heard a child crying. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, had wandered away from her mother and gotten lost. She was scared and calling for help. David heard her cries and immediately forgot about his own danger. He walked right past Zara's hiding spot and knelt down next to the child. "Hey there, sweetheart," he said gently. "Are you lost? Let's find your mom, okay?" He picked up the frightened girl and carried her toward the busy street, speaking to her in a calm, soothing voice. Within minutes, he had reunited her with her frantic mother. The woman hugged David with tears in her eyes, thanking him over and over. But as David turned to leave, a piece of loose concrete fell from the building above. Without thinking, he pushed the mother and child out of the way, taking the hit on his shoulder instead. Blood soaked through his shirt, but he refused medical help until he was sure they were both safe. Zara watched all of this from the shadows, her weapon still hidden and unused. She had been trained to see weakness in her targets, to find the moment when they were most vulnerable. But what she was seeing didn't look like weakness at all. David Chen was willing to risk his own life for complete strangers. He used his enhanced abilities not for personal gain, but to help others and expose dangerous secrets. Even when he was in pain, his first concern was making sure other people were okay. That night, Zara sat on the roof of a tall building, looking out over the lights of Seattle. She thought about her home planet, where efficiency and logic ruled everything. Colothians were taught that emotions made people weak and unpredictable. They lived long, peaceful lives by following rules and putting the needs of society above individual desires. But humans were different. Their emotions seemed to make them stronger, not weaker. They formed deep connections with each other and were willing to sacrifice for people they barely knew. It was chaotic and inefficient, but it was also strangely beautiful. The neural link. Device was definitely changing David in ways no one had expected. Zara began to notice that he could sense danger before it happened and seemed to know things he shouldn't be able to know. But instead of using these abilities to gain power or wealth, he used them to protect people and uncover the truth. His latest article had exposed a company that was dumping toxic waste into the water supply. The story saved thousands of people from getting sick, but it also put David in serious danger. The company's owners were powerful and angry, and they had started hiring people to make sure David stopped writing about them. Zara found herself doing something she had never done before, on a mission. Instead of hunting her target, she started protecting him. When 3 men cornered David in a parking lot late one night, Zara made sure their car wouldn't start. When someone tried to break into his apartment, she triggered the building's fire alarm to wake everyone up. She told herself she was just being practical. She needed David alive long enough to retrieve the neural link device properly, but deep down she knew that wasn't the real reason. The strangest part was the dreams. Every night, Zara saw flashes of David's memories mixed with her own. She experienced his childhood, his time in the military, and the night when the dying alien gave him the device. She felt his determination to warn humanity about the coming invasion and his loneliness from carrying such a heavy secret. But the dreams went both ways. Sometimes David would wake up with images of distant planets and silver ships in his mind. He started writing about things he shouldn't have been able to know, describing alien worlds and technologies with perfect accuracy. The neural link device was creating a connection between them, even though they had never actually met face to face. Zara could feel David's emotions as if they were her own. His compassion, his courage, and his deep love for humanity flowed into her consciousness like warm water. For the first time in her long life, Zara began to question whether her mission was right. David Chen wasn't a threat to galactic security. He was a protector, someone who risked everything to keep others safe. The real threat was the invasion force that was getting closer to Earth every day. As she watched David from across the street the next morning, Zara made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. Instead of completing her mission, she was going to find a way to meet him properly. She needed to understand this strange human who had somehow reached across the void of space and touched her heart. But first, she had to figure out how to approach someone who could sense her presence from a mile away. The hunter had become fascinated by her prey, and nothing would ever be the same again. The visions were getting stronger every day. David would be sitting at his computer working on a story, when suddenly his mind would fill with images of silver cities floating among the stars. He saw beings with shimmering skin who moved like dancers and spoke in musical tones. These weren't dreams anymore. They felt completely real. At first, he thought the stress of his dangerous work was making him lose his mind. But the visions were too detailed, too consistent. And lately, he had started seeing the same woman in all of them. She was tall and graceful, with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of centuries. In the visions, she was always watching him, but her face showed confusion rather than anger. Meanwhile, Zara was experiencing David's memories as if she had lived them herself. She felt the weight of his military training, the pain of losing friends in combat, and the moment of wonder when the dying alien had placed the neural link device in his hands. She understood now that David hadn't stolen the technology. It had been given to him as a gift and a responsibility. The alien pilot's final words echoed in her mind through David's memory. "Your people are in danger. The Dark Ones are coming. Use this to prepare them, to warn them. Find the others who will listen." Zara realized with growing horror that her own people, the Colothians, might be working with the wrong side. The Dark Ones the pilot had mentioned were the same hostile aliens her commanders claimed they were trying to stop. But what if the Galactic Council had been compromised? What if they were actually helping the invasion rather than preventing it? Everything changed on a rainy Tuesday night in downtown Seattle. David was leaving the library after researching government documents when 3 black cars surrounded him in the parking lot. Men in dark suits stepped out, their faces hidden. "Behind sunglasses despite the late hour. David Chen," one of them called out. "We need to have a conversation with you." David's enhanced senses, sharpened by months of using the neural link device, immediately told him these weren't ordinary government agents. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated, and there was something in their energy that felt cold and empty, like the void between stars. He started running, but more agents appeared from every direction. They moved faster than any human should be able to move, and their eyes glowed with a faint blue light in the darkness. David realized with growing terror that these weren't humans at all. They were aliens, disguised to look like government officials. "You cannot escape," one of them said in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "The device belongs to us. Give it to us willingly, and your end will be quick." David pressed himself against a concrete wall, his heart pounding. The neural link device was literally part of his brain now. There was no way to remove it without causing serious damage. Even if he wanted to give it up, he couldn't. That's when Zara made her choice. She dropped from the roof above like a silver shadow, landing between David and the hostile agents. Her human disguise melted away, revealing her true Colothian form. Her skin glowed with soft light, and her movements flowed like water as she faced the enemies. "You will not touch him," she said, her voice carrying the authority of centuries of training. The fake agents hissed in anger, their own disguises failing as they revealed their true forms. They were Vorthak, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Their black skin absorbed light, making them look like walking shadows with burning red eyes. "A Colothian hunter," one of them snarled. "We wondered when the council would send someone. But you are too late. The human and the device will be ours." "I am not here for the council," Zara replied, extending energy blades from her arms. "I am here for the truth." The battle was swift and brutal. The Vorthak were strong and fast, but Zara had been trained by the best warriors in the universe. She moved between them like a dancer, her energy blades cutting through their defenses. But there were too many of them, and more were arriving every minute. Just as she was about to be overwhelmed, David did something extraordinary. The neural link device flared to life in his mind, connecting not just to Zara, but to every electronic system in the area. Streetlights exploded in showers of sparks, car alarms screamed, and the entire block went dark. In the chaos, David grabbed Zara's hand. "This way," he said, leading her through streets he knew better than any alien hunter could. They ran through alleys and side streets, the sound of pursuit growing fainter behind them. Finally, they reached an abandoned subway station that had been closed for repairs. David led Zara down into the tunnels where they could catch their breath and figure out what to do next. "You're not human," David said, stating the obvious as he looked at Zara's glowing form in the darkness. "And you're not just human anymore," she replied, noticing how the neural link device had changed his eyes. They now held flecks of the same silver light that ran through Colothian technology. They sat on an old bench in the abandoned station, both trying to process what had just happened. The visions they had been sharing suddenly made perfect sense. The neural link device had created a bond between them, allowing them to experience each other's thoughts and memories. "I was sent to kill you," Zara admitted, her voice soft with shame. "My people believe you're a threat to galactic security." "But you saved me instead," David pointed out. "Why?" Zara thought about everything she had learned over the past months. She had watched David risk his life for strangers, expose corruption to protect innocent people, and use his enhanced abilities only to help others. She had felt his genuine love for humanity and his desperate desire to prepare them for the coming danger. "Because I've been watching you," she said. "And I've seen who you really are. You're not using that device for power or personal gain. You're trying to save your entire species." David looked at her with surprise. "You believe me? About the invasion?" "The aliens who just attacked us weren't from my people," Zara explained. "They were Vorthak, the most violent species in the galaxy. If they're here on Earth, working with your government, then the invasion has already begun." She told David about the Galactic Council, about her mission, and about the growing suspicion that her own people might have been deceived. The real enemy wasn't David or humanity. It was the dark force that was slowly taking control of governments and alien councils alike. "The pilot who gave you that device," Zara continued, "he was a refugee. His planet was destroyed by the same forces that are now targeting Earth. He gave you the device because it's more than just a weapon or a communication tool. It's a key." "A key to what?" David asked. "To awakening others like you. Humans who can bond with our technology and gain abilities that could help defend your world. The device has been sending out signals, looking for compatible minds. That's why those agents were so desperate to get it back." As if responding to their conversation, the neural link device pulsed gently in David's mind. Suddenly, both he and Zara could see a network of light spreading across the planet. Small points of brightness appeared in cities around the world, marking locations where other humans were beginning to experience enhanced abilities. "There are others," Zara whispered in amazement. "The device has been slowly awakening them, preparing them." David felt a surge of hope mixed with overwhelming responsibility. He wasn't alone in this fight anymore. There were other humans out there who were developing abilities like his, and somehow they were all connected through the alien technology. But he also realized that time was running out. The Vorthak wouldn't give up after one failed attack. They would bring more agents, more weapons, and more dangerous tactics. Earth was running out of time to prepare for what was coming. "Will you help me?" David asked, looking into Zara's silver eyes. "Will you help me find the others and prepare them for what's coming?" Zara thought about her orders, her duty to the Galactic Council, and the life she had known for centuries. Then she thought about the past 3 months, watching David's courage and compassion change her understanding of what it meant to be truly alive. "Yes," she said simply, "but we're going to need somewhere safe to work. Those agents will be looking for us everywhere." David smiled for the first time in months. "I know just the place. There's an old military bunker in the mountains. It's off the grid and has all the equipment we'll need." As they prepared to leave the subway station, both David and Zara knew that their lives had changed forever. The hunter had become the protector, and the hunted had found an unexpected ally. Together, they would face the growing darkness that was reaching across the stars toward Earth. The real battle was just beginning. The old military bunker hidden deep in the Cascade Mountains became their secret base. David had discovered it years ago during his time in the service, and it was perfect for what they needed to do. The thick concrete walls blocked most electronic signals, making it nearly impossible for anyone to track them there. For 2 weeks, David and Zara worked together to understand the full power of the neural link device. What they discovered amazed them both. The device wasn't just enhancing David's abilities, it was slowly teaching him how to use technology that was thousands of years ahead of anything humans had ever created. During the day, they trained together in the bunker's large main room. Zara taught David how to focus his enhanced senses and control the energy that flowed through the alien device. David showed Zara how to understand human emotions and the complex social connections that made his species so unique. But it was during the quiet evening hours that something deeper began to grow between them. They would sit by the small fire David built each night, sharing stories about their very different worlds. Zara told him about the crystal cities of Kaloth, where music floated through the air and time moved differently than on Earth. David described human celebrations, the way people came together during holidays, and the simple joy of watching a sunset with someone you cared about. Your people feel everything so intensely, Zara said one night, watching the flames dance in the fireplace. On my world, we're taught that emotions make us weak. But watching you, seeing how your feelings make you willing to sacrifice for others, I think we might be wrong about that. David looked at her silver skin, which seemed to glow softly in the firelight. Over the past weeks, he had learned that the color of her glow changed with her emotions. Right now, it was warm and peaceful, like moonlight on calm water. Your people aren't wrong, he said gently. Emotions can be dangerous. They can make us do foolish things or cloud our judgment. But they also give us something to fight for. Without love, without hope, what's the point of surviving? As the days passed, the connection between them grew stronger. The neural link. Device had created a bond that went deeper than either of them had expected. They could sense each other's thoughts and feelings even when they were in different parts of the bunker. When one of them was hurt or worried, the other felt it immediately. But their peaceful time together was shattered when Zara's communication device suddenly activated. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing the stern face of Commander Kex, her former trainer and the closest thing she had ever had to a father figure. "Zara," his voice boomed through the bunker. "You have failed to report for over a month. The Council is concerned about your mission status." Zara's skin immediately shifted to a defensive silver-blue color. "Commander, I am still working on, the assignment. The situation has become more complicated than expected." Commander Kex's eyes narrowed as he studied her through the hologram. "You look different, Hunter. The humans haven't infected you with their emotional weakness, have they?" "Of course not," Zara lied, hoping he couldn't see David, who had moved out of the hologram's range. "I am simply being thorough in my investigation." "Good. Because I have news that will help you complete your mission quickly. We have discovered the location of the human who stole our technology. Tomorrow you will meet with our strike team at coordinates I am sending to your ship. Together, you will retrieve the device and eliminate the threat." Zara's heart sank. She had been hoping for more time to figure out a solution that would save both David and satisfy the Council. "Commander, perhaps we could capture the human alive. He might have valuable information about how the device has been modified." "Negative!" Kex replied sharply. "The Council has made its decision. The human is too dangerous to be allowed to live. You will complete this mission, Zara, or face charges of treason against the Galactic Council." The hologram flickered and disappeared, leaving Zara and David alone in the suddenly cold bunker. David had heard enough of the conversation to understand what was happening. The alien strike team would arrive tomorrow, and Zara was expected to help them complete the mission she had originally been sent to do. "You have to go," David said quietly, though every word felt like a knife in his chest. "If you don't show up, they'll know something is wrong." Zara turned to face him, her skin now a swirling mixture of silver and deep blue that showed her inner turmoil. "David, I won't let them hurt you. There has to be another way." "What if there isn't?" David asked. "What if the only way to protect you is for me to surrender?" "No." Zara's response was immediate and fierce. "I've spent these weeks learning about human courage and sacrifice. But I've also learned about love, and love means protecting the people who matter to you." They spent the night trying to come up with a plan that would save them both. Maybe Zara could convince the strike team that David had already been eliminated. Maybe they could fake his death somehow. But every idea they discussed had flaws that could expose Zara to danger. As dawn approached, they realized there was only one option that might work. It was risky and would require perfect timing, but it was their best chance. "I'll pretend to capture you," Zara explained as they prepared for the day ahead. "When the strike team arrives, I'll have you bound and ready for transport, but during the transfer, we'll spring our trap." David had used the neural link device during the night to send a signal to the other enhanced humans around the world. He couldn't communicate with them directly yet, but he could sense their locations and their growing abilities. If everything went according to plan, help would arrive at exactly the right moment. "Are you sure about this?" David asked, as Zara programmed false restraints that would look real but could be released instantly. "If your people discover you've been lying to them, they'll consider you a traitor." Zara looked into his eyes, and for a moment, the alien technology connected their minds completely. He felt her love for him, as pure and strong as sunlight, mixed with her fear for his safety and her determination to protect him no matter the cost. "I've already made my choice," she said softly. "Months ago, I was sent here to eliminate a threat to galactic security. But what I found instead was someone who showed me what it really means to be alive. I won't let them take that away from me." They held each other as the sun rose over the mountains, both knowing that the next few hours would determine not just their own fate, but possibly the fate of Earth itself. The strike team would arrive soon, and their carefully planned deception would begin. But even as they prepared for the most dangerous day of their lives, David and Zara felt something neither of them had expected. Despite the fear and uncertainty, they felt hope. They had found each other across the vastness of space, and that connection had changed them both in ways that made them stronger. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The hunter and the hunted had become something new, something that neither of their species had ever seen before. They had become partners, protectors, and most importantly, they had become two beings who loved each other enough to risk everything for a chance at a future together. The sound of approaching ships echoed across the mountain valley. It was time to put their plan into action, and time to discover whether love really could conquer the darkness that was spreading across the stars. Commander Kex arrived with 3 other Colothian warriors, their silver ships landing in the mountain clearing like metallic birds. Zara watched them approach the bunker entrance, her heart pounding with nervousness she had never felt before. Any mission. David was sitting in the center of the main room, his hands bound behind him with what looked like Colothian energy restraints. To anyone watching, he appeared to be a defeated prisoner, but the restraints were actually holographic projections that Zara could disable with a thought. "Well done, Hunter," Commander Kex said as he entered the bunker, his 3 warriors spreading out behind him. "I see you have finally completed your mission." Zara stood at attention, trying to keep her expression neutral. "The human proved more resourceful than expected, but the device is secure." Commander Kex walked slowly around David, studying him like a scientist examining an interesting specimen. "So this is the primitive being who caused us so much trouble. He doesn't look like much." David kept his eyes focused on the floor, playing his part perfectly. But through their connection, Zara could feel his tension and his readiness to act when the moment came. "The device has bonded with his neural system," Zara reported, sticking to their planned story. "Removing it will require careful extraction to preserve the technology." "Actually," Commander Kex said, his voice taking on a colder tone, "the Council has decided that preservation is no longer necessary. We have learned much about this device during your extended mission. Too much, some might say." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Something was wrong. Commander Kex was looking at her with suspicion rather than approval. "I don't understand, Commander," she said carefully. "Don't you?" Kex stepped closer to her, his silver eyes studying her face. "In all your years of service, you have never taken more than a few days to complete a mission, yet this simple task has taken you months. And during that time, our monitoring systems have detected some very interesting energy signatures coming from this location." Zara's mind raced. If they had been monitoring the bunker, they might have detected the emotional bond that had formed between her and David. Colothian technology was sensitive to strong emotions, especially love, which was considered a dangerous weakness among her people. "The human was using the device to mask his location," she said, trying to sound convincing. "It took time to track him down." Commander Kex smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Perhaps. Or perhaps you have been compromised by extended contact with this emotional species. He gestured to his warriors, who immediately raised their weapons. Step away from the prisoner, Zara. Commander, what are you doing? Zara demanded, though she already knew the answer. The Council has decided that you have been infected by human emotions. You are no longer fit to serve as a hunter. After we eliminate this threat, you will be returned to Kaloth for reconditioning. Reconditioning. Zara had heard whispers about it, but had never seen it done. It was a process that would strip away her memories and emotions, leaving her as an empty shell that could be reprogrammed to serve the Council without question. She would forget David, forget love, forget everything that had made her feel truly alive for the first time in centuries. I won't let you do this, she said, moving to stand protectively in front of David. You don't have a choice, Commander Kex replied. Kill them both. That's when David activated the neural link device at full power. The signal he sent out wasn't just to the enhanced humans he had been contacting over the past weeks. It was a call for help that reached across dimensions, connecting to every piece of compatible alien technology on Earth. Suddenly, the bunker was filled with blinding light as the device tapped into power sources that had been hidden for decades. In cities around the world, humans who had been experiencing strange dreams and enhanced abilities suddenly understood what was happening. They felt David's call and responded with abilities they were only beginning to understand. Some could move objects with their minds. Others could see through walls or predict danger before it happened. Together, they formed a network of consciousness that stretched across the planet. The Kalothian warriors' weapons suddenly stopped working as the massive energy pulse from the neural link device disrupted their technology. Zara used the confusion to release David's restraints and grab a weapon from the nearest warrior. This way! David shouted, leading her toward a hidden exit he had prepared weeks earlier. They ran through mountain tunnels as the sound of pursuit echoed behind them. But something amazing was happening above ground. Ships were appearing in the sky, but they weren't Kalothian vessels. These ships were sleek and golden, with designs that seemed to flow like water. The Altarians, Zara breathed as they emerged from the tunnel system. They're the peaceful race that was destroyed by the dark forces, but some of them must have survived. The golden ships were engaging Commander Kex's forces in aerial combat. Energy beams lit up the sky like a deadly fireworks display. But the real surprise came when human military jets arrived, their pilots somehow able to coordinate perfectly with the alien vessels. The neural link device had done more than just call for help. It had created a temporary communication network that allowed humans and friendly aliens to work together for the first time in Earth's history. David and Zara reached a high ridge where they could see the entire battle spread out below them. Commander Kex's ships were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. The combination of human creativity and Altarian technology was proving to be more effective than anyone had expected. Your people will never accept this, Zara said sadly as they watched the conflict. They'll send more ships, more warriors. They'll never stop hunting us. Then we'll be ready for them, David replied, taking her hand. Look, he pointed to the horizon where more lights were appearing. These weren't ships, though. They were human cities lighting up with energy signatures that matched the neural link device. All around the world, the enhanced humans were awakening to their full potential. The device hadn't just been a communication tool or a weapon. It had been a gift, a way for humanity to take the next step in their evolution. With this technology, humans would be able to defend themselves against any invasion. They would be able to join the community of peaceful species that existed among the stars. As the battle raged below, Zara made her final choice. She activated her communication device and sent a message to the Galactic Council, knowing they would. Hear every word. I am Zara X7, Hunter of the Kalothian Empire, she said, her voice carrying across space to the fleet that was surely coming. I hereby renounce my allegiance to the Council and claim sanctuary among the humans of Earth. This planet is under the protection of the Altarian Alliance, and any attack against it will be considered an act of war. The message would reach the Council within hours. When it did, they would have to decide whether to risk a war with the Altarians over one rogue hunter and a single human world. David squeezed her hand as the last of Commander Kex's ships retreated into space. Are you sure about this? You can never go home again. Zara looked at him, this amazing human who had taught her what it meant to love and be loved in return. Around them, the lights of Earth's cities glowed with new power and new hope. She could feel the consciousness of millions of humans awakening to their enhanced abilities, preparing to take their place among the stars. I am home, she said simply. In the days that followed, everything changed. The world learned about the existence of alien life, but instead of panic, there was wonder and excitement. The enhanced humans, now calling themselves the Bridge Network, worked with the surviving Altarians to establish Earth's first interstellar communication system. David became the first human ambassador to the galactic community, using his experience, and the neural link device to help his species navigate their new role among the stars. Zara worked beside him, serving as a cultural advisor and protector. The Galactic Council, faced with the choice between war and acceptance, eventually agreed to recognize Earth as an independent world under Altarian protection. Commander Kex and the corrupt elements within the Council were removed from power, replaced by leaders who believed in cooperation rather than domination. But perhaps the most important change was the one that happened between David and Zara themselves. Their love had literally saved two worlds, proving that connection and understanding could overcome even the vast differences between species. They built a life together on Earth, in a home that looked out over the same mountains where they had made their stand against the forces of darkness. Every evening they would sit together and watch the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, other beings were learning the same lesson they had discovered. Love was not a weakness. It was the strongest force in the universe, capable of bridging any gap and overcoming any obstacle. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, it could reach across the endless void of space and change everything.